Welcome, Simon Groom from Magnify B, and thank you for joining the Ascensive interview series, The Art of Leverage Strategies to Create More. So would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are before you started Magnify B?
Thanks, Ewan, and it's a pleasure to be here. So I basically started as a management consultant back in 1996 after a career in different areas before that. And I started to work with small and large companies, but actually the work I did was around very large programs, government-based, particularly multi-million, several hundred million programs, and program management, around information technology, quite a few things there. Eventually moving straight into management consulting shortly afterwards. I've always had a passion for small companies. So even though I've worked for small and large ones, but I've focused my work as a consultant on a lot larger in the past, quite quickly I moved into working with smaller ones and always said to myself I'd come back to do more of that. So fast forward quite a bit, worked as a national director for a PLC, came back to realizing that I wanted to work for smaller companies and did just that. So I set up a consultancy company about 5 years ago, after doing various things in the small business area before that. Loved what I was doing. My business partner and co-founder for Magnify B now joined me just after I set the company up. And we decided that we needed to support small companies in a good way, and also with not-for-profit organizations as well. So again, we decided that there had to be a better way of supporting those who couldn't afford our fee rates. So a few years ago, about 3 years ago, we sat down, David and I, my co-founder in Magnify B, and said, what can we do to make a difference there? And we started the journey.
So it's very difficult for smaller businesses to afford the advice that they actually need when they're starting out, isn't it? Even if they've been going for 3 or 4 years.
It is, and so there's the one element which is the difficulty in affording it quite often. There's also that difficulty in justifying it, which is actually a lot harder sometimes. Even if they could afford it, a lot of people don't see that they need it. And we have, most people use this now, but we have a phrase which is you don't know what you don't know. And we find that when we work with clients as consultants, we find that very, very poignant. They just don't know what, and when we start to talk to them about the new things that we've covered for many, many years, they say, I didn't realize that. So now I know I need someone. But to get to that point is really hard, and to justify spending the fee rates that they have to spend is almost impossible sometimes.
And I suppose it's also difficult sometimes for them to have the time to apply the stuff that they need to do in order to make what you work with them actually work.
It is. I mean, that's still going to be a problem no matter what we do. We have to remember that, and that's something we've got to be very careful with Magnify B. But yes, very much so. It's finding that time and again justifying it to spend on these things. What we know is that people love to improve. They want to feel rightly that they've done it themselves. Holding your hand and having someone alongside you, people need to realize that's something that can really make a difference. But actually, people have this inbuilt need to try and do what they can themselves, and that's what led us to develop the first part of this phase.
So tell me about Magnify B and what it does for clients, and why you developed it as well.
Yeah, of course. So Magnify B was absolutely developed from a real need. We know that what people want is what this is from a consultancy point of view in business, is something that we can give 90+% of in an online way, and an AI-driven automated way for a lot of it. So what Magnify B does, it gives you an affordable online platform for a start, and it actually targets several things. It's performance management for the business, it's benchmarking against your peers, and then it's actually playing back all your information to you in a way that enables you to learn, and it has a full learning platform behind the whole thing. So a very, very brief nutshell there, it's about those three things. But actually what it does is a lot more than that. So it gives you your own key performance indicators, KPIs. It allows you to look at what if financial planning scenarios. So, should I make a change here? What happens? What is the impact of making that change there? Should I do this? Should I do that? It's those things that often take a long time, may have to bounce back and forth off your accountant and understand more about it before you can get to that stage. So Magnify B has been created to try and support that growth in a company. So increasing productivity particularly, which in turn will increase profitability. And of course it will hopefully, and this is what the main aim is, it will also reduce the amount of SME failures, and there are a lot. 56% fail in the first 3 years according to Bayes.
So that must cost an awful lot of money for those failures.
It does, and the impact isn't just for the company or for the individuals who then can't use that money locally or nationally. It also is on the in terms of UK GDP. There's a massive impact, and that's been recognised recently by government. So we actually genuinely hope that Magnify B can help change some of that and even impact on GDP.
So this is helping. Can I afford to take on a new member of staff? That all sorts of different things. Do I need a bigger office? All that sort of thing can be calculated and shown what effect that will have on the business.
Absolutely. So if you think about the early stage interventions and interactions that we have as consultants with smaller businesses, and bear in mind we're talking about those with 1 to 49 employees as our primary audience here. We think about the challenges they have. It is indeed, can I afford to do these various things? What are my personal goals? Are they aligned with my business goals? What do I want out of this? Am I going to try and sell in the future? Do I have a proper competitor analysis? Do I understand what's going on? And it's those kind of things that people are asking all the time, but they don't know enough about to try and cure the problem. The biggest one, of course, at the moment is about finance, and it's understanding where your finances are. So even though Magnify B covers 12 modules and 1,000 business areas, the first one we're going to release is the finance one with all the what-if tools around it, because that's so important to get people on track.
Brilliant. So what would be an ideal client for you?
I think at the moment we need 3 different types of people. So an ideal client for the software, for the application itself, is any small business between 1 and 49 employees across any sector. And we have to do that. It's no point us saying, well, we're going to target the engineering sector or construction sector. What we do in terms of business, in business terms, is that we look at the whole business. We understand, we get underneath the bonnet, we look at what's working, what's not. So it has to be across the piece. What we don't need to do at this stage is look at specific sector support. But of course, what the idea is that the system, the application will have an option to support with advisors if people do then need some specific support with, say, engineering or whatever it might be. So the ideal clients for the software would be that. Currently, of course, we're looking for 2 other types of clients. So one is investment. We're definitely in the middle of an investment round at this moment in time. And the second one really is around referrals. So those linking people to organizations, or finding people who will link us, I should say, to organizations who might then invest and be supportive of the organization.
So what sort of investment are you looking at to get to the next stage?
So we're in the middle of a £300,000 investment round. We've managed to secure 50,000 of that at the moment. We already secured 100 beforehand, which was the first bit, the kind of pre-seed, if you like. So we're looking for another 250 plus K to get us to the stage where we can launch the 1 module of the 12 with the finance one, with enough around it to give someone, a client, a real flavour of what we're trying to do and peace of mind. Those will be the early adopters, and we want to get out to those within the next few months.
So you're looking for people to actually try it?
We are. So again, 3 levels here. One is someone to try it up front. We've got a handful of individual companies and business leaders that really want to help us with this, and we're going out to them now once we've got the integration sorted with the finance systems, which is happening now, and get them to report back on it and test it for us. Then we've got a second tier, which is a proper testing tier, beta testing tier, and then we've got the final stage, which is, okay, let's get those beta testers to become early adopters and start to move on with more testing before we release the rest of the modules.
What was your biggest learning from the development of Magnify B? What was the biggest lesson you've learned while going through this process?
I think for us, for me particularly, but both David and I said the same thing, it was around the need to validate. We know that, we both knew that. Everybody knows in a way you have to prove the model, prove the need, and we've talked about it endlessly. It's in all our pitch deck and everything else, but actually it really came back to us when we talked to several VCs, and they just kept saying, yeah, I get, it's fantastic, what a wonderful idea, and we've only ever received fantastic feedback so far, but so who have you got it out with? Have you proved this? Have you proven that? And we said, okay, well, for us it's more important to make sure we've got this handful of people now, and then hopefully up to about 100 or even 1,000 in total by the time we get to the stage of launch, that we've properly tested it with and validated before we then say, oh, and then we need more money, thanks.
Okay, so what do you see your biggest challenge in the next 12 months?
I think the biggest challenge for us at this moment in time is actually getting to the stage where we can get all the right content in all the right places and then start to launch. One of the things that David and I haven't done is take something from idea all the way through to full launch. So we've been involved in mergers and acquisitions and all sorts of things in the past. No problem at all with that, and understanding term sheets and things like that. What we haven't done is that right from scratch to the end. And it's a big challenge for us, and it's great, but the technology is one that gets in the way of this. And I'll say it in that way because it does. It's an enabler, and we understand what we understand, just like we preach to clients. We need support in that area around AI, machine learning, natural language processing, which we're getting, which we got the right people in place. But I think that's where the challenge is going to be, getting that right to get to the launch.
So what's the most exciting thing ahead for you in the next 12 months, do you think?
I think really for us, we're focusing now on this 6 to 8 month window of getting the early adopters on board for launch. And I think the most exciting part of that is actually being able to get the response we're currently getting from people, but as we grow the application, hopefully even better, to say this is absolutely needed. It's curing a problem we have. It's improving our profitability. It's those tests. So for us, it's proving that it's that validation again as we go through to the next stage in launch.
So what sort of people can recommend this to? Is it people that you know personally, or maybe accountants who can recommend it to clients? What sort of people can actually recommend people to you for essentially have a play with this?
Well, I think there's two elements. So we're looking really in terms of our routes to market to get to membership organizations, which we've got one signed up with a letter of intent with 16,000 members at the moment for the Forum of Private Business, accountants who have lots of clients, and also consultancies, small to mid-range, that have a few or quite a lot of clients that they can use this as a tool set with. So we think about that being the routes to market. For now, we need people to introduce us to some interesting companies of different sorts and sizes within our range that can really test this and make a difference in various sectors. We've got clients in consultancy, from professional services to construction to software development. We need that kind of range to test this, because we know that some things that we've had to make generic at the moment, which is right in the first version, will have to be tweaked to say suit a company selling furniture versus a company with solicitors. And this is the difference. We need to adjust those things as time moves on. So that's what we need: people to introduce us to innovative, interesting people who want to learn, want to know more, and we can offer a good deal for a couple of years on our product to do that.
Brilliant. So what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
So I guess at the moment the information is hopefully behind me. What we'd love to do is interact in any way, and we say that, so we're networking prolifically at the moment. We're taking calls on a daily basis, and also if anybody wants to just either contact us via the email, or they can find me or David on LinkedIn. We do the same. We'll respond as soon as we can. And at the moment, it's very, very interesting because it's very busy in terms of inquiries, people talking to us, and people referring us as well, as you well know, Ewan.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck for the next 12 months, and I'm sure everything will work out for you.
Been a pleasure. Thanks very much, Ewan.
Thanks very much.